what do you say we start with most valuable player? Because that's what we always do.
Let's do it. It's the most
Let's
kind of prominent award that we have in the NFL, so let's do that one.
Even if it's not the best money-making opportunity. Or maybe it is. Let's find out what Femi thinks. Patrick Mahomes, I said before the year he's going to win MVP, was plus 550. How about 2 weeks in? Award CLV? I'm joking. Not a thing that actually exists. Just saying. Mahomes is now 3-1, plus 300. Josh Allen second, plus 450. CJ Stroud third, plus 550. Jalen Hurts is 12-1. Did anyone watch the end of the game on Monday? Joe Burrow, Brock Purdy, and Aaron Rodgers all at 20-1. Lamar Jackson, the reigning MVP of the NFL, Lamar at 22. Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Kyler Murray, all at 25. I have chosen to draw the arbitrary line there as the cutoff line. Then if you have anyone else that's interesting, and I think you might, a little bit further down the board. Let's talk about it here, my friend. Perhaps we'll even park the car and have a conversation. Here in the car, we feel safest of all. Break down MVP for us, good sir.
I see what you did there. I love it. Yeah, this is an award that everybody kind of knows. Quarterback on a 1 or a 2 seed. Typically, a 1 seed is where you want to be. Lamar Jackson, despite not having like great numbers passing wise last year, or statistically, he won MVP because they beat the Niners and they were the 1 seed in the AFC. So right now, at the top of the market, I think we're pretty much set. Like, this is right. Mahomes should be the favorite. Josh Allen should be behind him. Texans are 2-0, so Stroud should be behind Josh Allen. So I think that makes a lot of sense. So there's not a whole lot of value in like going after those guys because those are like the 3 of the preeminent quarterbacks that we have in the NFL. But I think a couple interesting names to keep in mind. One of them, you guys heard the rejoin on the way back. Aaron Rodgers, he's at 25-1. Now, I don't think Rodgers is going to win this award. I don't think people really want to vote for Rodgers to win this award because people don't really like Aaron Rodgers. He's a pretty polarizing guy. But if the New York Jets can take advantage of what is a pretty manageable schedule over these next, let's say, 6 to 8 weeks, that is a number that you could get that award CLV at 25-1, which could improve over time. So Rodgers would be one to keep in mind, not necessarily bet, but to keep in mind. But the other one, as Nick was setting up, what about Derek Carr at 40-1? Now, you might laugh out loud when you hear Derek Carr to win NFL MVP, but the Saints are putting together a season where offensively, at least, that is going to be a story if they can keep this train rolling along with Clint Kubiak and what Kamara's doing and Shaheed and Olave and all of those guys. Like, the path for the Saints to get the 1 seed is actually a lot more clear than people might think. I know some domestic sports books out there book team to win the number 1 seed. The Saints right now plus 650, which that's not that big of a price. So you can compare plus 650 to Derek Carr, who's like around 35-1, 40-1 to win MVP. Now, it's not a guarantee that he would win if the Saints got the 1 seed, but if you think about how the season's playing out, how would they have to accomplish that? It would have to be continuing to put up these big statistical offensive performances to where maybe he actually at the end of the year kind of wins like a Matt Ryan type of MVP where nobody really thinks he's the best quarterback, but he's on a team that had awesome stats offensively and they were a top 2 seed in the league. So 40-1 for Derek Carr on a Saints team that now has an updated win total of 10.5. I think could be interesting. Now, I'd want to see this week play out. I kind of lean towards Philadelphia this week, so I'm not really running to bet Derek Carr to win MVP at 40-1. But let's just see like what these other NFC contending teams look like. Let's see if Detroit stubs their toe in the desert. Can the Niners bounce back after all these injuries? Like, I just want to see more from the New Orleans Saints before I really go ahead and back this, because this could just be a bubble early on in the season. Baldy was on with us in the last hour saying that, hey, the first couple weeks, it's sort of the new preseason. So I don't want to overreact to that, but just one to kind of keep in mind. And the one, finally, my last point here on MVP, the price that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense given where his team is at is actually Joe Burrow. Like, I went into this week wanting to find ways to back Joe Burrow, but the Bengals are 27-1 at a sports book to be the 1 seed, and Burrow's 20-1 to win MVP. Like, I think that you're paying a tax on Joe Burrow because everybody knows he is thought of as one of those elite quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't think really you're getting the bang for your buck for Joe Burrow at 20-1. And yeah, they could rip off some wins here over the next month, but they still have tougher games down the line to where they have no kind of margin for error if they're going to be the 1 seed, given the fact that they're 0-2 already. So I would kind of stay away from Joe Burrow, even though I do see the Bengals having some success in this coming month.
And I'll say this about Carr. Like, it doesn't, not yet at least, doesn't really pass the laugh test when you say Derek Carr MVP. It is worth noting, though, I think a lot of this was luck-driven. It doesn't really matter, though. The fact is the fact. In 2016, when the Raiders went 12-4, and Carr, like, broke his leg at the end of the year, Connor Cook had to start that wild card game where they lost in Houston. Carr finished tied for third in MVP voting behind Tom Brady and the eventual winner, Matt Ryan. So, like, there is some precedent for Derek Carr, like, to get it has happened in the past. Doesn't mean it's going to happen again, but it's actually, like, not as crazy as you would think when you actually consider that he has gotten MVP votes in the past.
I'll ask you this question, Nick. Like, would you
Please.
rather bet on Derek Carr at 40-1 to win MVP, or would you rather bet Alvin Kamara at 21-1 to win Offensive Player of the Year?
Carr,
Because
easily.
you think you'd rather go Carr? I mean, Kamara has an injury concern, which is the big problem with him, but he's put up a lot of touchdowns, and that offense is humming, and they are expected to win their division as well. Like, I think Kamara is an interesting, and he's 21-1. Carr, you're getting a bigger payout, but I think also there's bigger hurdles as well for Carr, given the fact that he's not seen as like an MVP caliber quarterback.
I'll say this about the Saints offense, and like I spend a lot of time thinking about this stuff for various reasons. Like, we haven't seen yet, basically the Saints offense has been funneled through three players, besides for Carr, who's like the trigger man. It's Kamara, it's Shaheed, and it's Olave. And it's in that order, basically. We haven't seen anyone else, and I know that Moreau and Juwan Johnson both caught touchdowns in week 1. Taysom Hill's a little bit involved in the run game, but it's really just those three. Like, what happens when other players start getting involved? Kendre Miller will come off IR. You can laugh, but like Kamara, I don't know if he's going to be able to hold up physically for an entire season. Olave, compared to the others, has done nothing yet. Like, this matchup coming up on Sunday against the Eagles and that secondary, this should be, doesn't have to be, but should be one where we will be singing after the game. Olave, So yeah, I do think we'll see other members of the Saints start to get some shine away from Alvin Kamara. So I'd rather bet Carr, but your point is taken on Kamara.
But to that point, though, as well, and Baldy brought this up when we chatted with him, like, the Eagles' run defense is horrendous. Like, what if Kamara goes for 150 yards on the ground? Like, I think that's in the range of outcomes based on how the Eagles have played run defense so far this season. And a couple touchdowns, and all of a sudden you're talking about Alvin Kamara, he's sitting at 9-1 to win Offensive Player of the Year. Like, I just think that it's one, like, and now I don't really want to back running backs that much in this award because of the injury risk with those guys. And also they tend to be in committees. You mentioned Kendre Miller. He's going to end up coming back and maybe he gets into the mix here. But I think that Kamara is just an interesting guy, just given the fact that he plays on a really good offense, probably going to score a lot of touchdowns, and they're favored right now, or at least co-favorites, to win the NFC South. So he kind of checks the box from a team standpoint. It's just, can he stay on the field and stay healthy? And also, will he be like kind of like the focal point of this Saints offense? That remains to be seen over the course of the next games. But I think Nico Collins, though, big move in the market last week from last week to this week, but still at 16-1, he has a clear path from a team standpoint, also a production standpoint, to win this award because he's that good of a player.
I have the Eagles Saints like prop numbers up right now from BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas, for the game this weekend. Chris Olave, 59.5 receiving yards. Rashid Shaheed, 46.5 receiving yards. Alvin Kamara, 63.5 rushing yards. You guessed it.